Have you ever, just looked at the laptop sitting on your desk or maybe the phone in your hand and realized that you have absolutely no idea what is actually happening inside that little metal box?
Oh, yeah, I think we all have that moment.
Right. I mean, you press a button, a screen lights up, you connect to a server halfway across the world, and it all just feels like magic.
Right, but of course it's not magic, it's architecture.
Exactly. And today we are going to give you, the listener, the ultimate shortcut to understanding that architecture. Welcome to today's deep dive.
It's a really exciting one today.
It is, yeah. Our mission is to basically demystify the absolute gateway to the IT industry, which is the CompTIA A+ certification.
And, even if you aren't actively trying to get a job in IT right now, the material we are exploring today is incredibly valuable for just anyone.
About 100%.
We are looking at this through the lens of an introductory guide created by an industry veteran named Professor Messer.
Yeah, his stuff is great.
It really is. His syllabus for the newest iteration of this certification provides a really fascinating roadmap. It's essentially a masterclass in how to become truly tech literate in the modern world.
Because knowing what happens under the hood of the devices you use every single day, I mean, it totally changes how you interact with them.
It really does.
Okay, let's unpack this, because before we can even talk about the exam itself, we have to talk about what CompTIA actually is.
Right, the organization behind all of it.
Exactly. It stands for the Computing Technology Industry Association. And looking at the history in our sources, it seems like the tech world used to be a complete free-for-all before this standard existed.
Oh, it's the Wild West.
So what did that landscape actually look like for someone, trying to just get a job?
Well, it was incredibly siloed.
Yeah.
Think about it from a hiring perspective in the early days of corporate computing.
Okay.
If a company used IBM computers, they specifically wanted someone with an IBM certification.
Oh, I see.
Right, and if they used Hewlett-Packard, they needed HP certified technicians. Every single computer manufacturer had their own distinct set of rules.
That sounds exhausting.
It was. They had their own proprietary hardware quirks and their own completely isolated training ecosystems.
So if you were a technician, you were essentially locked into whatever corporate ecosystem you first trained on.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
You were stuck.
Man, that sounds like an absolute nightmare. It actually reminds me of the dark ages of electronics, when every single cell phone manufacturer had their own completely unique charger.
Oh my gosh, yes. The worst.
We'd have a drawer just full of useless tangled cords, right? Like
Yeah.
one for Nokia, one for a Motorola, one for a BlackBerry.
And you couldn't just borrow a friend's charger if yours died.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what CompTIA did was essentially create the universal power adapter for IT skills.
It was a perfect analogy.
They looked at that messy drawer of disparate certifications and just created one standard plug that works everywhere.
What's fascinating here is how that vendor-neutral approach completely revolutionized the IT industry. CompTIA essentially formed a coalition.
Like a united front.
Right. Their members include distributors, equipment resellers, manufacturers, and training centers.
So they got everyone to the table.
Exactly. By bringing all these competing skill sets into one single, universally recognized certification, they decoupled the professional from the corporate ecosystem.
Meaning you didn't just belong to IBM anymore.
Yes. You no longer had to pledge allegiance to one specific brand of hardware. You could prove your foundational knowledge across the board, and that proof would be valid globally.
That's huge.
We are talking about a certification that reaches over 100 countries and is translated into multiple languages.
And the person guiding us through this landscape in our source material, Professor Messer, I mean, he seems uniquely qualified to see the whole board here.
Oh, without a doubt.
You look at his resume, and it's practically a history of modern computing. He's got experience in supercomputer operations.
Which is just wild.
Right. It's mind-blowing to think about. But he's also worked in server and network administration, cybersecurity, software engineering, and corporate training.
He's done it all.
Yeah, so when someone with that kind of heavy-hitting, diverse background points to CompTIA A+ as the starting line, I mean, it carries a lot of weight.
It does, because his perspective is grounded in decades of applied, real-world experience, not just, theoretical textbook knowledge.
Right. He's actually been in the trenches.
Exactly. He understands how a minor hardware issue cascades into a massive cybersecurity vulnerability. And he's highly specific about which version of this starting line we're discussing.
Right, because there are different versions.
Yeah, the A+ certification isn't a single monolithic test. It's actually split into two distinct exams that you must pass.
Okay, lay them out for us.
So you have the Core 1, officially number 220-1201, and the Core 2, which is 220-1202.
Now, the sources mention that you can take them in any order, which is interesting, but they cover entirely different territory, don't they? They do, yeah.
So if I am a learner, trying to wrap my head around this, what is the actual difference between taking Core 1 versus Core 2?
Think of it as the physical versus the virtual. Core 1 is heavily focused on the physical realm.
So the hardware.
Right. It covers hardware, mobile devices, networking basics, and hardware troubleshooting. It's about knowing what physical cables go where, how a motherboard operates, and how a physical printer functions.
Got it. And Core 2?
Core 2, on the other hand, shifts into the software side. That exam leans into operating systems, security protocols, and software troubleshooting.
Okay, so Core 1 is lifting the hood and touching the wires, and Core 2 is sitting in the driver's seat, tweaking the computer's digital brain.
That's a great way to look at it.
And to prove you know how to do that, you need a passing score of 700 on a scale of 100 to 900 for Core 2.
Correct.
But here's the detail that really jumped out at me. These specific versions of the exam, the 1201 and 1202, they were released on March 25th, 2025. Yep, relatively recently.
But they have a strictly built-in expiration date. They only live for about 3.5 years, meaning they retire entirely around September of 2028.
Yeah, that is the ticking clock built into all IT certifications.
It's kind of stressful.
It is. But anyone taking these specific exams has a window that closes firmly in the fall of 2028.
Now, I have to push back on this a little bit. Okay.
Let's hear it.
Because since today is June 4th, 2026, we are sitting right in the absolute sweet spot for these exams, right?
We are, yeah.
The material is still relatively fresh. But a strict 3.5-year lifespan, is that really necessary?
I think it's too short.
I mean, a central processing unit is a central processing unit. A hard drive is a hard drive. Part of me looks at that timeline and wonders, is this just a cynical way to force people to buy new textbooks and new video courses every few years?
That is a very common and honestly very fair skepticism.
Right. It feels like a cash grab.
But if we connect this to the bigger picture, that 3.5-year life cycle isn't an arbitrary money grab. It really isn't.
Okay, so what is it then?
It is a direct reflection of the sheer velocity of technological evolution. I mean, think about how much the digital landscape changes in 42 months.
I suppose if I look back 42 months ago, AI wasn't integrated into every single device I own.
Precisely. The hardware standard shifts, new wireless protocols are adopted, and most importantly, the security landscape mutates completely.
Ah, security. Yeah, that makes sense.
Right. New vulnerabilities are discovered daily, and new operational procedures are required to mitigate them.
So it's about keeping up with the bad guys.
Exactly. If you are hiring an IT professional to secure your network, which means setting up those digital bouncers at the door of your system, known as firewalls.
I like that. Digital bouncers.
Oh, wait, a certification based on the technological reality of 4 or 5 years ago might as well be from the Stone Age.
Wow. Okay, when you put it like that, it makes total sense. Because that 32-month window is so unforgiving, CompTIA has to rigorously test if you can actually operate modern systems under pressure, not just recite theory.
They absolutely do.
Which brings us to the testing environment itself. Just reading about the parameters made my blood pressure spike, honestly.
Well, the gauntlet is certainly rigorous.
Yeah, break it down for us.
For both Core 1 and Core 2, you are facing a maximum of 90 questions, and you are given exactly 90 minutes to complete them.
1 minute per question. That is a sprint.
It really is. And CompTIA doesn't just hand you a gentle multiple-choice warm-up either.
No.
No, they introduce what they call performance-based questions, or PBQs.
Okay, what exactly is a PBQ?
A PBQ is essentially any question that isn't standard multiple choice.
Like what?
It could be a drag-and-drop scenario where you are virtually connecting network cables to a server rack.
Oh, okay, that doesn't sound too terrible.
It could be a matching exercise. Or, most daunting for many test takers, they might drop you into a simulated command line prompt.
Oh, no.
Yes. And they purposefully place a handful of these PBQs right at the very beginning of the exam.
Here's where it gets really interesting. To an outsider, a command prompt is terrifying.
It really is.
It's just a black screen with a blinking cursor. There are no menus, no friendly help buttons to click. It's asking you to speak its language entirely from memory, just typing out specific syntax.
And if you don't know it, you're stuck.
Right. And to put that right at question number 1, As a test taker, it is so easy to freeze up, stare at that blinking cursor, and watch 5 minutes just vanish. Why would they design it that way?
Because it simulates the reality of IT triage.
What do you mean?
In the real world, when a server crashes or a network goes down, you don't get a multiple-choice warm-up to get your brain engaged.
You don't get 4 options of what might be wrong.
Exactly. You are immediately thrust into a high-pressure situation where you have to prioritize and act. Placing PBQs at the start tests a candidate's stress management and prioritization skills just as much as their technical knowledge.
Man, that is brutal, but brilliant. But thankfully, the exam software has a feature that I think is the ultimate psychological lifeline.
The mark question box.
Yes, every single question has a little box at the top of the screen that you can check. I view that box as a mental pressure release valve.
It's so important to use it.
If you hit that command prompt, TBQ, on question 1 and your mind just goes totally blank, you don't sit there and let the panic take over. You click that mark question box and you keep moving.
Just keep the momentum going.
Exactly. You build your momentum and your confidence on the multiple choice questions later on. You get your rhythm, and then at the end, the system shows you exactly which questions you marked and you can jump right back to them.
It is an excellent strategy for maintaining momentum. And it's crucial to remember that these performance-based questions, they are not trick questions designed to artificially fail you.
They aren't.
No, they are simply applied versions of the exact same official exam objectives that you study for the multiple choice section.
Oh, I see.
The underlying mechanism is identical. If you understand the logic of how a network routes traffic, you can answer a multiple choice question about it, or you can drag and drop a virtual cable to complete the circuit. It's the same knowledge.
Okay, that makes it a little less scary. Managing that kind of psychological pressure is tough enough, but the source material also highlights how crucial the physical environment is.
Yes, the actual room you test in.
Right, you have choices now. You can take the exam at a third-party testing center, or you can actually take it from your own home, provided you meet some very strict requirements.
Very strict. The at-home testing option requires a highly controlled, continuously monitored environment.
Like how controlled?
You are watched via webcam by a live proctor the entire time, and your desk must be completely clear.
I know, for me, just having a proctor stare at me through a webcam while I try to remember a networking protocol, I mean, that would make my mind go totally blank.
It's a lot of pressure.
It feels incredibly claustrophobic. But the physical testing center has its own risks too, right? Professor Messer offers a fantastic piece of advice here. Control the environment by speaking up.
Yes, it is a detail many people overlook.
What does he suggest?
He specifically advises that if the temperature in the room is freezing, or if there is distracting construction noise outside the door, you need to raise your hand and make the testing center staff aware of it during the exam.
During the test, not after.
Exactly.
Don't try to be a hero, tough it out, fail by 10 points, and then complain at the front desk on your way to your car.
Because by then it's too late.
The time to advocate for yourself is when the clock is ticking.
Controlling your testing environment is as much a part of your overall strategy as your actual study sessions.
That's such good advice.
And you will know the results of that advocacy immediately. The moment you review your marked questions, ensure you haven't left anything blank, and hit submit, the system gives you immediate pass or fail feedback.
Wow, really? There's no waiting for weeks for an email.
None. You know right then and there.
Immediate validation or immediate heartbreak.
Exactly.
Which makes the preparation phase so critical. As a learner staring at a massive checklist of hundreds of technical objectives, it just makes me want to quit before I even start.
It is overwhelming for sure.
How does Messer suggest a student actually tackle that mountain without completely burning out?
To combat that exact paralysis, Professor Messer outlines a structured methodology he calls the WRAP.
Okay, WRAP. Break that down for us.
It's a multimodal approach to learning that engages different cognitive functions. The WO stands for watch specifically, watching his video course.
And I noticed the videos are broken down into very small, bite-sized chunks, rather than multi-hour lectures, which is nice.
It makes it much easier to digest.
But what about the R? That stands for read, right?
Mm-hmm.
If the video course is comprehensive, why do I need to go out and get a curated, high-quality book? Isn't that just redundant?
Well, it might seem redundant at first glance, but it taps into a different way the brain processes information.
How so?
Videos are fantastic for grasping high-level concepts and visualizing how things fit together. But when you need to drill down into the granular details,
Like what?
like memorizing specific port numbers or the exact steps to navigate a Windows registry, Reading text forces your brain to slow down and encode that data more deeply.
That makes a lot of sense. You watch to understand the map, you read to memorize the street names.
That's a brilliant way to phrase it.
And then comes the A for apply.
Yes. Application is where the theoretical becomes practical. This means engaging your kinesthetic learning through labs.
So actually doing it.
Exactly. If a video shows you how to configure a network setting, you don't just passively nod. You follow along. Or use a curated set of virtual labs to actually click the buttons and type the commands yourself.
Oh, so you're building muscle memory.
Yes, so that when you see that blinking cursor on the real exam, your hands just know what to do.
Love that. And finally, the P is for practice.
Right. Taking practice exams that specifically mirror the tone, the style, and the difficulty of the actual CompTIA test.
So the real thing doesn't feel like a total shock to the system.
Exactly.
Watch, read, apply, practice, WRA.
Mm.
But within this whole ecosystem, there is a specific organizational choice that I think is just pure genius.
You're talking about the numbering.
Yes,
Oh.
the one-to-one mapping with the CompTIA objectives.
So helpful.
So what does this all mean? It means CompTIA publishes an official, massive checklist of objectives. Let's say Section 3.4 is about configuring a specific router protocol.
Okay.
Professor Messer's video on that exact topic is literally titled and numbered 3.4.
Yep.
If your third-party textbook follows the objectives, Chapter 3.4 matches Video 3.4.
It entirely removes the friction of studying. You aren't wasting cognitive energy trying to cross-reference materials.
It treats learning less like a linear highway where you're forced to drive straight from beginning to end, and more like an open-world video game map.
How do you mean?
Well, if you take a practice test and realize you are failing all the questions on networking hardware, you look at the map, the official objectives, you see exactly where you are weak, and you just fast travel directly to video 2.1 to level up that specific skill.
You are in total control of the pacing and the path.
Exactly.
And, this raises an important question about access and the socioeconomic impact of this kind of training.
That's a good point.
When you look at how comprehensive this material is, covering every single bullet point of the CompTIA objectives to prepare someone for a career, you have to consider how this education used to be delivered.
It wasn't always this accessible, was it?
Not at all.
Mm.
Historically, access to high-paying, entry-level tech careers was heavily gatekept. If you wanted to learn this material, you had to pay upwards of $10,000 for exclusive boot camps or proprietary training courses.
$10,000 just to get started. And the source material explicitly states that this entire video course from Messer is free.
Completely free.
There are no paywalls. Nothing is held back behind a premium subscription. You can just go to their website or their YouTube channel and watch every single minute of it.
It's incredible.
They even have a 24/7 live Discord server with thousands of students, and they host monthly live study groups where you can participate in interactive quizzes and ask the instructor questions directly.
It represents a massive democratization of education. The barrier to entry for the IT industry is no longer financial.
It's just about effort.
Right. It is entirely determined by a student's willingness to apply discipline. If you have an internet connection and the dedication to utilize that W or Para strategy, the knowledge is freely available to you.
That is incredibly empowering. We've covered a lot of ground today.
We really have.
We started by looking at what the CompTIA A+ certification actually is, that vendor-neutral universal adapter that brought order to a fractured IT industry and allowed professionals to build careers outside of a single corporate ecosystem. Right.
We broke down the specific realities of the Core 1 physical hardware exam and the Core 2 software exam, noting that these 12.01 and 12.02 versions launched in March 2025 and will strictly retire by September 2028.
We also explored the intense 90-minute testing environment.
Oh yeah, the sprint.
We analyzed the psychology behind performance-based questions being placed at the start to simulate real-world triage, the importance of using the MARC question tool to manage panic, and why advocating for yourself regarding room temperature or noise is a critical testing strategy.
Speak up during the test.
Yeah.
And we laid out the battle plan, engaging different cognitive learning modalities through the WRAP strategy of watch, read, apply, and practice.
All of which is supercharged by that one-to-one numbering hack that lets you fast travel directly to the specific skills you need to level up.
Right. So whether you are actively gunning for a new career in IT, or you just want to be the most tech-literate person in your office, treating this knowledge as an organized, objective-based checklist gives you an incredible advantage. Absolutely. You are no longer at the mercy of the magic metal box. You actually know how to lift the hood and understand the architecture beneath.
But I want to leave you, the listener, with one final thought to mull over, building on what we discussed today about the speed of innovation.
Okay, what is it?
We noted earlier that the tech industry openly admits that foundational knowledge expires completely every 3.5 years.
Right, the 42-month window.
That is why these exams are aggressively retired and replaced. So, if the official professional baseline of what is considered current technology mutates that rapidly, how much of the everyday technological common sense that we currently hold as undeniable fact in our own lives is already completely obsolete without us even realizing it?
Wow. It certainly makes you wonder if the mental models we rely on to navigate our digital lives are showing us the current reality or just a ghost of the technology we used 4 years ago.
Something to think about the next time you press a button and expect magic. Until next time, keep diving deep.